Meet Codename Goose, your on-machine open-source AI agent, built to automate your tasks. Codename Goose is an intelligent and autonomous agent capable of handling complex tasks thanks to its core features. Connect with apps and tools you already use with extensions. Built on the Model Context Protocol, you can connect to extensions like GitHub, integrate JetBrains IDEs, access Google Drive, or build your own custom integrations for Goose. For a curated list of extensions, visit our docs. With a wide range of compatible large language model providers, you can choose and integrate your preferred model. You can also run Goose as a desktop app or through the command line interface using the same configurations across both. You can think of Goose as an assistant, ready to take your instructions and do the work for you. Able to handle a wide range of tasks across various engineering domains. Here are examples of tasks Goose has helped people with already. Goose has helped dive into a new project in an unfamiliar coding language, conduct code migrations such as Ember to React or Ruby to Kotlin, increase code coverage, and even generate unit tests for a feature, and much more. To get started using Goose right away, check out our quick start and be the first to know about upcoming features by joining our community.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Wild's Goose Case, where we highlight users, their use cases, and their sometimes wonky, goosey experiments to hopefully spark some innovation with everyone watching and to get you to push the limits with Goose. My name is Ebony Lewis. I'm a developer advocate here at Block, and today I'm with a new co-host.
Hey everybody, I'm Ian Douglas. I also work at Block as a developer advocate. Thanks for having me.
Of course, I'm so excited you're here. And today we have a special guest. I'm going to let him introduce himself. Hey, Juan.
Hello, everyone. My name is Juan Pablo Garcia. I'm a motion design lead at Square.
Nice. I don't know why I thought you were saying more. I'm like, yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Short and sweet. That's great.
Yes.
No, we love that here. We like that. That's good. Welcome. Let's say hi to everyone in the chat. Hey, Eva. Hey, welcome. Hey, Ace. Hey, Tanya. Nice. And hey, Anthony, this is the perfect comment. Been looking forward to this all week. We both have. We're super excited to see how you're doing these video edits, how Goose is helping you. I know, Ian, you've been saying how you've done this in the past, and you're super excited to see it in action as well. So I think without further ado, I'm going to let you take over, Juan, and walk us through how Goose is doing all these crazy things. I'm going to put your slides up.
Is everyone seeing the presentation?
Yep, it's coming through.
Perfect. So let's start. So thank you everyone for joining. I'm gonna talk about how I use Goose to help me edit and change aspect ratios with After Effects. So let me start by kind of telling you how we started with my team. So we create videos for different social media channels, YouTube, LinkedIn, Meta. And at the beginning, we had this massive After Effects files, with many layers, many keyframes, and it was difficult to update, to find which layer corresponded to text. So it was really time consuming. So we created templates using code after expressions, which is After Effects code, to develop an easy way to create these videos with just a few layers and a few keyframes. So this is how, after developing the template, the layer looked, with different options and different properties that an editor will go in, just change a few things, and be able to render a final video for YouTube or LinkedIn or whatever. With this approach, we're creating 30 videos per week, which was amazing, right? Let me show you some of the videos that we created.
Oh, they look good.
The great thing is that, again, with just a few keyframes, a few layers, we're able to pump out these beautiful videos. But then one issue was that we needed to recreate these videos in different aspect ratios: 9:16, 1:1, 4:5, 16:9. And the issue was that we were basically repeating the same video many times, clicking the same drop down menus, changing the values, changing the text. So I had a big idea. Why don't we create another template containing all of those aspect ratios in just one file? It was a beautiful idea, right? And here it is.
Juan, I might have missed it. How did you create the original template? Was that with Goose or?
No. It was with expressions, After Effects code.
Okay, I missed it. Okay.
So here's that big After Effects file with all the aspect ratios. You can see in the video how with a drop-down menu, we can switch from 1:1 to 9:16 to 16:9. But it failed, unfortunately.
It seems like a very manual process to have to go in there.
Yeah.
Well, remember that before we had 45, 50 layers. Now it was just one drop-down menu changing the settings, and 4 keyframes before 60 keyframes. So it was, even though we had a big list of properties, it was just a few things that you needed to change to create a video. But the issue with this template was that because it had so much code and After Effects reads code at every frame, it became super slow.
It was overloaded.
So the editors couldn't work in it because it was so slow that it was taking time away from their day. So
they might as well have just
lesson learned, but that change didn't work. So that's when Goose comes in. Why? Because I knew that the issue was that After Effects was reading code at every frame, so it was loading the system. But if you have a JavaScript script, it will run just once, and then you can keep working. So that's when I started to create this JavaScript script with Goose to manage the templates that we already created and pop out the new aspect ratios with just one click.
Wow.
I'm going to talk about pros and cons of working with Goose from my perspective. So the pros are that obviously it unlocks opportunities that previously were unavailable because I don't know how to write code with that JavaScript. Greater efficiency, because now the editors can pop out videos with just one click instead of having to go inside and recreating the same video 5, 6 times or how many we needed. It removes monotonous work. And one thing that I loved about Goose was it felt conversational. When I was developing the script, I asked questions. Goose responded with ideas or with things that I needed to check for Goose to get more insight about what we were developing. And that felt really good, because it was something that before, when I was trying to do it with ChatGPT, I wasn't getting that conversational input and feedback that helped me develop the script.
Yeah.
The cons are that I felt that it was because I don't know how to write with JavaScript. It felt like a black box that I didn't, I was hoping for the best.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't fix the code. If something broke, I had to go back to a few moments before, or I don't know. So that was kind of uneasy. And then another thing that, again, because I don't know how to write the code, when
Mm-hmm.
it broke, then I had to go back to a file that I saved a few days before, a
Okay.
file that I knew that it was working, and start all over again.
So while you were working with Goose, you didn't like initiate Git or anything to help with that and push the changes? Like when you got somewhere that you thought, okay, this is solid, this is working, were you doing that? Or you were just kind of having that conversation with Goose? You guys are making changes and you're like, oh shoot, I want to go back, and you had to manually do that?
I'm not an expert with Goose. This was like my first big project, so maybe I didn't
No,
know
that's
how
totally fine. I'm just
to do
curious.
it. But
Mhm.
yeah, like I had to in our system, we
Mhm.
have the ability to mount a drive that goes back in time, like Time Machine, Apple. So I
Mhm.
went back on Thursday, and then I downloaded that file because I knew that, but that day it was working.
Mhm.
So maybe I'm not using Goose correctly, but that was kind of something
No.
that I didn't like because, again, I cannot read code. And sometimes another thing that I could mention is that it was obviously a lot of code,
Mhm.
and sometimes Goose gave me a snippet of the functionality that I needed to update, but I didn't know where to put it. And
Mhm.
so I was like, you know what, give me the entire code again. And that took longer
Word. Yeah.
rather than, because I could open Sublime and have the code open, but I don't know, the structure well. So that was a little bit, you know,
No,
uh,
that makes sense because we always talk about like how Goose can automate these tasks for you, but it is important to note things that you're saying, those struggles that you had because you're not actually familiar with the code.
exactly.
Some things you can do is like there's Goose memory or like Goose hints you can put in there and just remind Goose, like, I'm not a developer, so when we are making changes, make sure you tell me exactly where to put it in the code. Or you can also like update your prompting a little bit and nudge Goose to be more specific to help guide you. These are
Mhm.
all things that like you learn like as you go, but it's really like important that you're calling this out.
Because I code, I know how to code in After Effects, and I know that, the brackets are super important. And if you miss one bracket, it will break the code.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if I can ask Goose, if I have Sublime open, like, tell me where to input this snippet from which line to which line, so I don't miss a bracket or I don't miss anything like that. I don't know if that's possible, but because that will be faster, because Goose can give you snippets instead of the entire code.
Mm-hmm.
But I
I
don't know.
wonder if there's an MCP server for Sublime. I'm gonna look for one. Continue. I don't mean to like
Okay.
derail you from what you got
No,
going on.
no, all good. So now I'm gonna stop sharing this,
Okay, let's get.
and I'm gonna give you a live demo.
We love live demos, and the demo gods are always on our side. I'm very excited.
Can you see my After Effects file?
I do not. Oh, yep.
Yep. Okay.
Oh wait, no. You just switched.
Need to add it to the. There we
Okay.
go.
Can you?
No, you. Now
Yep.
we're good.
There
Yes.
we go.
Okay. Perfect. So here is an example of a video, a typical video 9x16 that we'll create with the templates that I mentioned before, right? So these are templates for the 9x16 aspect
Mhm.
ratio. Um, as I mentioned, this has only 6 layers, and it will create an entire video, 4 square, right? So at this point, the editor would have had input all the copy, the animations, the positioning of the footage, and all of that, right?
Mhm.
Before, we'll have to open a new comp, bring the same template for 9x16, 1x1, 4x5, and redo everything. Now if we run the script, you will get a pop-up menu. You can select which aspect ratio you want to convert it to. Click OK. And that's it. You have the same video, keeping the keyframes, easing.
Wow.
That was
text.
so fast.
And that, yeah, exactly. So you run just once, and that's it. As I mentioned before, After Effects reads at every frame. Now it was just one click.
Wow.
If the script sees a layer that doesn't recognize in the other template,
Mhm.
it will give a gap for the editor to put something in that gap. But the rest, it remains the same. And if we just run it again, 4x5, okay? That's it. We get 4x5.
What do you mean by it'll put a gap for the editor to fill into the gap? Can we go back to that?
Yep. You can see it here too. So in the original video,
Oh, I
this,
see.
this layer, it
Yeah, there's
doesn't
like nothing
exist
there.
in
Yeah.
the other templates. So the script, because it doesn't read it, it doesn't recognize it, it will give a gap for the editor to fill that section with
Okay.
other
Does that happen
footage.
often?
Excuse me?
Does that happen often?
It depends on the template, because each template has different layers,
Mhm.
and if one template doesn't have that layer, then it will leave a gap. If it doesn't, then it will leave it as it is.
Is that something specific to After Effects? Like, does it depend on how you build out this After Effects template, or is this like an artifact of something else?
No, it's a feature that I put on the script.
Oh, okay.
Mm.
Because again, like, this layer doesn't exist in the other templates. So I wanted, because we are creating videos in the same amount, the same 10 seconds. So I wanted to keep that gap for the editor to fill it with whatever they want, another video, another set of text, to maintain the same 10 seconds, because usually the meta, stories or reels, we have a specific time limits. So I wanted to keep that gap in for them to fill it with whatever they wanted.
Right.
Okay, I get it now. I didn't realize it was an intentional thing.
Oh no, yeah.
It's just okay.
Yeah.
No.
Because like in this one, there's another example. There's no gap. There's if I run it, then it won't be any gaps.
Right, there's no gap.
Because the code is finding all of the comps in the other aspect ratio.
That's great.
This is awesome. I personally have never worked with this. But I can just, from hearing the process of where you guys started, having to create all the different layers for the different sizes, and then you created the script and the script taking too long, and then Goose coming in and kind of automating it and making it even faster, that it's really, really cool. So how many hours would you say this saves you, like on average?
Oh, many. I would say maybe a week.
A week.
The editors are the
Wow.
ones working on this, but I would say 2-3 hours maybe, because they don't have to repeat the same. They don't have to repeat all the work in another aspect ratio, just one click.
Yeah.
And how it works is that you have the essential properties here.
Mhm.
Those are the ones that we coded with expressions, and the script is reading all of this data, creating a new comp with the other aspect ratio, looking at the templates that are here with the different aspect ratios, placing the same comp that has the same name, and pasting all the data into these essential properties.
So then the editor just has to find something that would fill that 1 or 2 second gap, or stretch out one of the other timelines or something like that to fill up that blank space.
Yes.
Yeah.
But but that was just an example.
Mhm.
Most likely it won't have a gap. I just wanted to show that feature, but
Yeah.
usually it won't have a gap. It will be the entire video beginning to the end. They will just need to check that the positioning of the video is correct, and render.
Do you
great.
by any chance have or remember the prompt that you gave Goose to get Goose to do this for you? 'Cause some people might want to try this out.
Oh, it
No?
was a few, it
Too
wasn't
long
one
ago.
prompt. It was like that's why I love the
Iterated.
conversational part of Goose, because it was like, I need this.
Over.
um I asked Goose, can you see the essential properties inside of this layer? And it was like, yes, I can see them. And it was a back and forth of how to change, how to copy the keyframes into the new comp. And it didn't copy it with the easing. I was like, you need to copy the easing.
Okay.
You need to copy the text. It was like an ongoing 2 or 3 week process of,
It was an iteration.
yes.
So for someone watching that would like to try this out, maybe they have like a similar situation, what would be a tip that you would give them to help get them started with doing this with Goose?
I think that think about how can you create efficiencies in your work, in your day to day, and then start thinking about how can you ask Goose to write a JavaScript script for, in this case, After Effects. And then you start running it, right? You run it. If it gives you an error, you paste it back in Goose and like, it gave me an error. And it's little by little, you start building the script as you wish. Because I built one, I just
Mhm.
wanted to test how can I create another comp with a different aspect ratio, copying the layers.
Mhm.
And I did that first one, right? And I want that new comp to have all the layers centered. And if you have footage, I wanted to fit the new comp. So I was like, okay, I can do that. Then how can I read the essential properties now? So it was like trying to learn how to get a script to do whatever you want to
Nice.
do. So, yeah, so little by little, it's a process.
Yeah.
Nice. So you use iterative prompting. I
Yeah.
love that. I think we
I,
already go ahead. Go ahead.
oh,
Go ahead.
I was going to say, like, we hear a lot of people who do development talk about things like vibe coding. And I'm very much like Juan. I do vibe prompting, where it's just like, help me make my prompt better. Like, what can I change about my prompt to get the output that I need? How do I tweak it so the next time I ask Goose something, I've got an even better prompt and I can skip all this back and forth that I did the last time? How do I get better at that prompt and make that better? Maybe putting something in my Goose hints file to remember next time. As you said, Ebony, like, I'm not a developer, like, help me, understand things a little bit better in everyday language. You can put that in a Goose hints file. And then as you have that conversation with Goose, it'll kind of relay things in a more relatable kind of manner.
Yeah, agreed. You can definitely tailor Goose, and that's one thing I love about it. I love that you can have those conversations with it. It makes it accessible to people that don't know After Effects or don't know front end code or whatever it is they're trying to work on that Goose is helping them with. Actually, recently wrote a blog post on prompting and the different types of prompting and the best ways to use them. And I posted that in the chat for anyone that wants to check it out. And that can also help you with like you said, you're trying to figure out how can I get good at prompting or like the best prompt to get what I'm looking for. But again, this was really, really insightful. I'm excited that you were able to do this with Goose. Ian, do you have any like final parting words?
No, I think, any way that we can find ways to automate what we do is just makes us more productive. And I think having a tool like Goose, it really changes like my own mindset of how I approach the work that I do. And especially if it's a technology that I don't understand, like, I don't know After Effects, so help me write After Effects. And then being able to go back and say, well, go change this or go move this over here, or, whether you're repositioning something in HTML or CSS, having a little bit of knowledge about the outcome that you want to get makes a huge difference in the outcome that you're going to get from these kinds of tools. And it's great being able to have that conversation with Goose and, kind of see that session over time. But yeah.
I completely agree, because a lot of times I was trying to get to something, but I didn't I didn't know if the prompt was correct or not. It was just like, it's not working, it's not working. Goose was asking questions, I was responding, and then it was like, maybe it's because of this or maybe it's because of that, until we got the solution. So the conversational part felt really, really good at the end. And I don't know if are we going to take questions from the audience or?
Yeah. So I didn't see much questions. People saying this is amazing. People making comments. One thing that I thought was important that we can call out is
Yeah.
that I was talking about how like this is saving you time, but in reality, it's really also removing the risk of human error when it comes to like reiterating or making those different like edits and stuff, which is really really cool.
Mhm.
Other people
Yeah, and that was one of the goals of the template, the first template.
remove
All the
human.
animations were done with code. All the positioning of everything in the frame was put with code, so the editor couldn't make a mistake of moving the logo to the right, because everything was made with code. It was just
Right.
changing, the text, changing the color, changing if it is coming from right to left or top to bottom, but everything was within brand. So in that sense, it helped them be safer and in
Juan,
safer times too.
Juan, what do you think the likelihood would be to go into a tool like Goose and have Goose create that comp in the first place, where you can just drop in your assets and so on, but have it build out a comp and say, I want to place or I want to make a video in After Effects. Help me by creating that initial comp file. Do you think that would be possible?
I have not had any luck with expressions, writing expressions with. I tried with ChatGPT. I haven't tried with Goose, to
Okay.
be honest.
Who's your next project?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because they write in JavaScript, and expressions are based in JavaScript, but it's not JavaScript. So, yeah, it could be. I don't know.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to try for sure.
Nice. And this person's calling out that it's not just a video editor. But yeah, that is it from, you do have something. Okay. I wonder if building some unit tests would be a valid step to help ensure future iterations don't break prior functionality. What are your thoughts on that, Juan?
I'm not sure if I'm not understanding the
So
question correctly.
I think what Ethan's dad is saying is like if we could have unit testing around the JavaScript file to make sure that that's going to work properly and that's rock solid and not going to change. But I don't know necessarily that you could write testing around the After Effects scripting. I think that would be something that whether Adobe has that functionality in their software, but having softwares sort of double check that the JSX script is going to work as intended. Once you kind of have that conversation with Goose and have Goose build you that file and you verify that it's working properly, you can certainly take that file back to Goose and say, write some tests to make sure that this functionality never changes. So if I ever ask you to update something, that I can go back and run these test scripts and make sure that this whole file is like this core piece of functionality is still going to work for me later. You could probably certainly do that.
That's a great approach too. I never thought about that. I've actually also never worked with After Effects. So there's that too. But I just wouldn't have thought of doing it that way. But that's really, really cool. Love that. Thank you for bringing that up, Ethan's dad. All right, Ian, feel free to take us out.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got a whole Discord community we'd love you to be a part of as well. So come hang out with us on Discord. We've got lots of conversation going on over there. If you'd like to learn more about Goose and how to install Goose and use it, you can definitely check out block.github.io/Goose. It's free. It's open source. You can download it. You can play with it. You can tinker with it. We've got a Mac and Linux client. We're working on a Windows client. So definitely check it out. Give us some feedback on it. We're looking for ways to improve the product as well. But definitely check it out. Find a way to help you automate something in your life, whether it's something like video editing. I mean, I've did 2 years of live streaming, and trying to do video editing was always so hard. So I'm definitely going to be looking at tools like this for sure to make that a little bit easier, especially for the aspect ratio change to go from this horizontal layout to more of that vertical format for sure.
Instantly, which is crazy. Thank you so much, Juan, for being here and for sharing this with everyone. And as Ethan said, it's a neat project. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
See you next time.
Bye.
Want to use Goose to automatically read and summarize PDFs? Here's how to plug and play. First, let's provide Goose with the command to use the PDF MCP server. Hey Goose, can you read this resume for me and evaluate how well the candidate aligns with the role requirements? With that prompt, Goose has now reviewed the resume, scored the candidate on each requirement, and delivered a full evaluation, complete with pros, cons, and a hiring recommendation. Thanks, Goose. To get started with Goose, visit block.github.io/Goose.